Hello, it's Kevin here. Time for another letter review, number 25, I think, of the series for the OET right now. So, we've got the criteria to have a look at. I've got some samples to illustrate a couple of points I want to make, and we've got this letter here. Okay, now, the first thing I want to say is this letter is too long. It's 282 words. 280-ish. That's too many. Now I can see that what you've done now, all the information's there. I don't think there's particular irrelevance. It's just for writing style. You need to be more concise. Now, this is something that the examiners are pretty clear about. Now, I'll just get my pen. So, as you know, we've got purpose, content, conciseness, genre, organization, language. Okay, so for a B 350 plus, you need 2555555. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. So the purpose must be immediately apparent, what you want the reader to do, and then expand it over the course of a letter. So, as I keep saying, you're constructing a narrative, you're telling a story. Can you do this? And then you expand why, So, as I say, it's a narrative, it's a story, essentially. And as well the other stuff which I've mentioned in previous videos, which I won't go through again, about audience, the contents appropriate to the audience, audience, etc. What I want to talk about today is the way, for this particular letter, conciseness and clarity needs a bit of work. So, if we look at these keywords, right? Quick, precise sense. Purpose, easily, immediately, so there's no need to search. Alright? So, how clearly the writing communicates the purpose of the document. So, again, these keywords: quickly, efficiently, no time wasted, effectively, the case is going to summarize what don't we need. Okay, is there anything that could be left out? So how well the information is summarized. So for this particular one here, it's mainly the writing style. So there's some things that we can omit, and indeed OE2, if you go to their blog, they do explain if you can leave out something like initially, additionally, all these kind of things that you don't need, you should do so. If it doesn't change the meaning of the sentence or message, you should leave them out. Now, first things first, this particular phrase, or sentence here, I should say, don't use it. Don't ever use it. You won't see this in any official samples. And just to prove my point, official sample, writing to request workplace assessment, and that explains it a bit. If we look at this next one, admitted, now ready for discharge. Thank you for seeing. Why? Further management of the blood sugar levels. Thank you for seeing Mr. Knowles. Why? Urgent investigation. Joe Baker, being discharged, underwent a left total hip replacement. There's nothing about highly appreciating, and why would it be highly? I keep saying this. Why do you use this sentence? It's because you've seen it in many, many samples, in many websites where you shouldn't be going because they're not very good. I've told you who to go to. I always recommend E2 OET online, OET official. No one else. Well, and of course, here. But they're official, they're premium service providers, and they'll tell you exactly the same as I do. You don't need it. Right? Don't use it. You don't need it. And it's meaningless, essentially. So, if we want to do it in the same way as those examples, then you would do, I'm writing to request your urgent evaluation and further assessment of. Let me just drag that. There we go. Further evaluation, further treatment of Mr. Elvin, whose features are suggestive of blah blah blah. Okay, so if you look at those examples, that's the kind of thing that they do. No highly appreciated. Okay, nice and simple. Look, again, total hit, replacement, no extra thanks for seeing, urgent investigation, thank you for seeing, for management, etc. Okay, so you get the point. So today Mr. Alvin presented, crushing chest pain, unresponsive, moderate wheeze were found, ECG showed that situations to it. There's no thus. Was suspected. You don't need thus. Who says that? Who says hence and thus these days? You don't need accordingly either. You don't need these introductory discourse markers, as they're called. You don't need them. Anterior, an anterior suspected was suspected. He was given, or for which he was given, because that's suspected, for which he was given. You could even join these with a relative pronoun, for which he was given oxygen, blah 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 blah. You could do it like that. Now, initially, is meaningless. What was the date? What date did he come? Date. When? Put that first. Mr. Elvin visited. What? He was out for the stroll and he just paid you a visit? Did he drop in for a cup of tea? No, he probably didn't. Presented. Complaining of occasional chest pain and was investigated. Where's my cursor gone? Was investigated. Well, so it was investigated on occasional chest pain. So we can end that there. Get rid of that, because you don't have to tell me what tests you gave him. Just simply tell me what the results were. So Mr. Alvin presented complaining of occasional exertional chest pain on review. Well, right, or simply say. Test results revealed, blah blah blah. Okay, concise, to the point. You don't have to do all this. Now, in normal circumstances, this style of writing is not bad. If you're writing like an essay or something, introducing phrases, but for this purpose, it's not necessary. They don't want it. They've said conciseness, so you don't need all this. That's what people have got to get used to doing. You're writing in a different way than you may write in other genres or style of text. So, and of course it was on review. What else would it be? Or simply get rid of that. Keep it concise as possible. Reports, test results revealed, mild systemic changes. So you could leave that, but hence. Is this in the Bible? Hence, thus. They don't really use those. I don't even think. Can you see any hence or thus in this? There's a therefore, but that's it. I can't see any hence or thus. Can you see anything? Let me have a look. Hence or thus. I can't see any here. It's simply his, is now, he's able. However, there's no hence, there's no thus in these examples. Writing style, you don't need it, you see? I can't see any. So, don't need it. Reports revealed, cholesterol. Simply, he was commenced, or for which he was commenced on, as I said, like in the previous one, for which he was given, for which he was commenced on, okay? On subsequent visit, what is that, a subsequent visit? Why not tell me the date? what is the date? When is this? You've got some dates in the case notes. Put them down. Mr. Elvin reported worsening chest pain and wheezing with exacerbated asthma. Now, you could make this part of the same sentence. So, he reported worsening chest pain and wheezing with exacerbated asthma. You could have put that. This sentence isn't too bad. It explains a little bit. Upper respiratory tract infection, non-adherence to his meds, owing to alcohol consumption. Consequently, recommendations, medication adherence to alcohol. You could do it passively or I recommended that you don't have to use passive all the time. And in fact, if you look at some of these others here, he doesn't. Let's have a look. There's some use of active and passive in these. Have a look. Ah, yeah. See, I instituted, I prescribed. So you can use active voice as well as passive. You don't just have to use passive. The reason I say that is that sometimes use of passive is too long. It's even longer than active voice and is less concise. Recommendations regarding medication adherence, alcohol dependence treatment was given. Therefore, I recommended he adhere to his meds and treated, or what could you say, recommendations. Medication. I advised him to stick to his meds and continue with alcohol dependence treatment or something. You could do it like that. Known asthmatic. Now, sorry. Now, you've got the important part there. So today's kind of visit, that's the most important thing, order of importance, and then we've got the chronology. But you see here, right, his asthma. Okay. Do you say anything about with acute exacerbation of asthma? So you mentioned the asthma, and then here you said, well, he's a known asthmatic. Well, you've already told us this. You've already said, okay, acute exacerbation of asthma. Where else did it say asthma? His asthma was exacerbated. So it's kind of pointless telling us now. So you could have said Mr. Evin is on Seretide and salbutamol for his asthma. Please note he kind of smokes. So we kind of guessed that he's a known as asthmatic because you've told us twice. So I would change that. Don't really need it. I believe. So, what else could you say to that? I believe. What else did I say? Therefore, I am referring him or her to you. He will need ongoing management, or could you please do this? Could you please do that? That would work too. I would be grateful if you could see. What does this one say? Doesn't say anything there. That's simply a statement. So I would be grateful. What else? Very weak. Could you please conduct? So you could say, what could we say? I would be grateful if you could immediately assess Mr. Elvin. My diagnosis is acute myocardial infarction or something such as that. I would be grateful if you could immediately assess Mr. Elvin for acute myocardial infarction, etc. So you could maybe change that a little bit. So, now, as I said, it's not bad. It's a little bit lengthy. So we could cut that down. I don't think we could really cut that that down. You could maybe talk about exacerbated asthma due to tract infection, non-med adherence. I don't know, not too much you can really cut down there. Not too much you can really cut down there. So that which we can take out and make a little shorter. Okay. So that's not bad then. That's not too bad. Okay. So we don't need that your urgent evaluation. Okay. As you've seen in the samples, nobody else uses it officially. And we don't need accordingly, initially, put a date. We don't need all this accordingly, consequently, thus. So, okay, yeah, so as I said, not too bad. Just a few, again, it's mainly about that writing style, really, writing style. As I say, what are we? Conciseness and clarity. That's the key thing here, okay? Now, there's no irrelevant information as such. As it's just the writing style. In normal circumstances, that your writing, well, the author's writing style is good. It is. The English part's good. It's just for this particular purpose, we need to be a little more concise if possible. Okay? Hope that helps.